My college days, oh, how they were really beautiful. The one thing that stands out is what I did every summer. I would go up to the Catskill Mountains and work during the summer at a concession. It started out as working for somebody who was a good friend of mine, Al Siegel's sister's piano teacher. And he basically had a concession of the equivalent of a coffee shop in the Catskill Mountains during the summer, and Al and I both went up there. The reason I remember it is that Elaine went to Florida that summer, and I used to go on call her long distance, at least twice a week, to tell her where we were going. So the Catskill Mountains, certainly even after Elaine and I got married, basically we went up. Uncle Dave owned a camp in the Catskill Mountains, and we became the concessionaires for the coffee shop and stuff like that. Anyway, I'd like to really go over to the baseball at Pratt, and for that, I'm gonna pause the recording. The one summer that I was up in the Catskill Mountains, I decided that I wanted to transfer and go to a school, and that school turned out to be Pratt Institute. I still remember taking the weekend off during the week and going down there while we were working up in the Catskill Mountains. And I basically made the transfer to Pratt Institute. That started a whole chain of events, okay, that was just truly unbelievable. The things I remember about my years at Pratt were playing baseball in my freshman year and sophomore year. The sophomore year, I made the all-star team for our conference. I used to play third base, batted third in the order. My dad would always come down to the games, okay, and just to see me play baseball, his oldest son. And the other things I do remember was Elaine asked me if I would come down one weekend. Her grandpa was in a hospital and she wanted me to really come down and meet him. So I came down and Grandpa Ben said, you know, I think the two of you should get married. You're living together, you're not living together, and you should be married at this time of life. And I said to him, where would we live? I'm still going to school. And he said, you live in the basement at Sarah, at your in-law's house, Elaine's house. And I said, no way, that's not where we want to live our first year of marriage, especially with me going to school. So he said, you know, I have a cousin who owns an apartment complex in Brooklyn, New York, right near Brooklyn College. And I will arrange and pay for your monthly rent until you graduate college. What a year that was. Grandpa Ben passed, but he started something that Elaine and we had a big engagement party in November of that year. That was my junior year in college. Wow, what a year that was. I got so sick after that engagement party with bronchitis that I used to cough so much. Even my brothers, I would wake up in the middle of the night. The worst thing was I would be coughing while in a classroom. And all of my professors said, Bob, why don't you just take the semester off and get yourself well and then come back next year? And I said, you know, I've already gone through one extra year. I don't want to get it, and I'm going to be married in June. So what they did was they gave me D's in all the courses to allow me to at least get to the second part of my junior year. which I did reasonably well. The only problem was because I got all D's, I became ineligible to play baseball that year. So we got married the end of June, the beginning of June, June 9th, 1962. And then what did we do? We went up to the Catskill Mountains to Uncle Dave's camp, where I was the bus driver taking the kids down to the lake. And basically, we also had uh, I want to say the concession at the camp also. And it turned out to be a real good summer. That next year, my senior year in college, Elaine and I learned how to live together. I used to have a car. She was working. She had graduated from community college, and she was working for a very prominent doctor who had discovered the RH factor. And it was truly unbelievable, an experience for her. We then would come home and live in a nice one-bedroom apartment overlooking Brooklyn College. And what I did during that time is start the Pratt bowling team. Even though I had been real good in high school, I now got started with the bowling, and we bowled every Sunday in a league in Queens. I still remember driving one day and going out and seeing my grandma, who was living with Aunt Edie and Uncle Frank. Then I would come home, and at that time, home football games for the New York Giants could not be televised. So I would go upstairs with Uncle Max, and we would listen to those games. It was truly, truly a remembrance of all time. Then I saw that there was going to be a college bowling tournament in the Northeast in Rhode Island. And it so happened it was the ex-director at Pratt Institute, who is now the athletic director up at that University of Rhode Island. So I got our team together and I drove them up, and we made it up there. And lo and behold, I came in first place with over 1,800 for the 6 games. Okay, no, I'm sorry. It was, I came in with a 206 bowling average and came in first place, which let me qualify as one of the top 5, actually in first place, and was eligible to go to St. Louis to bowl in the major tournament that the PBA holds every year. I'll never forget going first class on an American airline jet plane for the first time and getting off, and there is Dick Weber. Anybody who remembers those days of Bowling Start would remember he was our host for that 4 or 5 days that we were there. I didn't do that well in the tournament, but I still remember walking out with my bowling ball. So what happened is that the college days ended when I started doing interviews. And as it happened, we'll go into that with my career days. Thank you for watching.